Let's get reaction to Comey's prepared testimony, a preview of tomorrow's hearing, and a look back at today's hearing. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma is a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He was there today. He joins us tonight. Senator, thanks for being here.
Glad to be with you.
You've read the testimony, I'm sure. Your take initially of this?
Yeah, I was actually very pleased at how frank Jim Comey is in a day and age where you often get, we'll think about this, I'll give you it another moment, another time. He was very clear, articulated out multiple different conversations, gave the details of it, and was very open. So we look forward to that kind of open conversation, get the rest of the information tomorrow.
You've heard some people talk about this specific effort in February 14th Oval Office meeting, talking about Michael Flynn. President Trump, quote, repeated that Flynn hadn't done anything wrong in his calls with the Russians, but had misled the vice president. He said then, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go. I replied only, he's a good guy. I did not say I would let this go. I had understood the president to be requesting that we drop in any investigation of Flynn in connection with false statements about his conversations with the Russian ambassador in December. I did not understand the president to be talking about the broader investigation into Russia or possible links to his campaign. I could be wrong, but I took him to be focusing on what had just happened with Flynn's departure and the controversy around his account of his phone calls. Regardless, it was very concerning, given the FBI's role as an independent investigative agency. Now, there are some tonight who are saying that this is obstruction of justice.
No, I would disagree that it rises to that level. We'll actually walk through and get greater details on that tomorrow when we visit with Jim Comey. Jim Comey was concerned about it, didn't like it, didn't want to be alone with the president at other times, thought that put him in an awkward situation. He had mentioned that later on in his written prepared statement there. But what he was very clear on is that the president wasn't saying to him, you've got to do this or else, or this is the shift, or get into the Russia probe or anything else. What I hear from it is the president just fired Flynn, who he liked and who he respected, but understood he lied to the vice president. He's not going to do that and be his administration. And we're trying to say we fired him, that's enough, is what it sounds like. Is this also going to go into a probe as well?
I've also heard supporters of the president today saying this is how he talks. He's a real estate developer from New York. He's not used to the Washington ways of dealing with this. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, that's exactly how I saw it. The first time that I read through this earlier today when it came out was this reads like the president talks. It sounds like a guy who is not a Washington guy. America did not select a Washington guy or a politician. They hired a New York business guy. And he came in. He's in the process of hiring people. It doesn't surprise me. He's sitting down with all the people that he's hiring and putting on board face to face and saying, I need you to be loyal. That's a part of being a part of this. We've heard that term over and over again. For the other cabinet officials and folks, that when the president meets with them on that, he sits down with Comey a week into his presidency and says, basically, you're the same as everyone else. Comey is sitting there apparently thinking, I'm not like everyone else. I'm an independent investigator. I'm leading the FBI. And I think Comey sees this different than the president did. The president sees him as another part of the team. Comey seems to see it as, hey, we're very independent, which the FBI has historically been very independent.
I know you're going to press the former FBI director tomorrow, and he'll be pressed on a number of fronts. But his explanation in this prepared testimony about why he doesn't tell the FBI investigators about this concern and others up the chain of command. Do you buy that?
I do. It seems to me Comey's explanation was I wasn't taking this up to the chain of command initially because he didn't see this as anything off. He was writing notes just to be able to keep track of it.
But he does say he's very concerned.
He was concerned later. You get several months down the road, you get down to the Michael Flynn conversation, and that raised a concern for him to say, hey, I don't need to be alone with the president. I don't want to be there. I need to find someone to report that to. But at the time, obviously, there's no one to report it to.
Is it right for a president to ask an FBI director, I need loyalty, I expect loyalty?
I think it's right for a president to expect him to be honest. And I would say that's the best way to handle it. With this president and his background and his business dealings and the way that he normally handles everyone else, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt in the first month. And in that case, in the first week, he's in the office to be able to learn his way through the process. But what I didn't see is him being pressured by anyone else, and Jim Comey doesn't articulate anyone else pressuring him.
I want to talk about today's hearing and play just some of the exchanges there on that hearing today.
I have never been directed to do anything I believe to be illegal, immoral, unethical, or inappropriate. I do not recall ever feeling pressured to do so.
I have never felt pressure to intervene or interfere in any way and shaping intelligence in a political way or in relationship to an ongoing investigation.
There was a chance here delayed arrests, some of these press reports. But at some point, these facts have to come out.
With all due respect to my colleague from Virginia, I think you have cleared up substantially your direct testimony that you have never been pressured by anyone, including the President of the United States, to do something illegal, immoral, or anything else. Thank you for that.
Not surprisingly, how you looked at that depended on which side of the aisle you sat on. You heard Senator Risch there saying they did answer your question.
Right.
But the Democrats and others commentating on this say, why couldn't they answer the direct question, yes or no, it did or didn't happen?
So the Democrats on the panel want to get into specific conversations and say, what did the president say, what did you say, and get into that specifics. They didn't want to get into the specifics at all, saying we're not going to talk about specific conversations we've had with the president. We will only tell you that in a general sense and a flat-out statement, we've never been pressured, never felt pressured, never been asked to do anything that was inconsistent morally, legally, whatever it may be. They were very clear on a very broad spectrum saying that's never happened, but I will not talk about individual conversations I've had with the president. Democrats hated that. Republicans looked at it and said, okay, that's good to know.
Or at least an open testimony.
Right.
We don't know if they wouldn't close. Finally, and before I let you go, you just got back from Syria and Iraq.
Right.
We have a couple pictures of you touring. Briefly, your assessment of how the fight against ISIS is going.
What's pretty remarkable about in Iraq and in Syria is the Iraqis are fighting in Mosul. We're advising and in the back lines, but the Iraqis are fighting in Iraq. The Syrians are fighting in Syria. That's the clearest message that you can see what's actually happening on the ground there, and real progress has been made. ISIS only has control of really 3 areas, smaller regions in the far western side of Iraq, including the very center of Mosul, Sinjar Valley in the southwest, and in Syria it's really only the Euphrates Valley is all they've got left. So the noose really is being circled around them, and the Iraqis and the Syrians are taking the fight directly to the ISIS.
Senator, we appreciate your time. We look forward, obviously, to covering the hearing tomorrow.
Yeah, look forward to it as well.
Thanks.